and Northern America because of Trump military issues there. And that prompted European and North American to start thinking, what should they do in order to cope with the fact that there will be no energy in the coming winter? It was in October '73. And that was the start for thinking how to develop a standard for energy conservation. And that started 1973, and today, every 3 years, we have an updated version of the standard. So the last one will be coming soon, 2025. The one existing we have 2022,
Yes.
plus all the previous years. Now, the beauty of it that each year it comes, it's not like to sell another publication. Each year, each term, the standard will be offering you, if you want to be in compliance with it, a less and less energy consumption. So let's say 204 was something like this, 207 became energy conservation like this, 210 like this. We continue to drop to reach where? Net zero. So by the year 2030, we're assuming that all buildings, at least in North America and Europe, that will go into net zero. This is the plan. Now, 2050 became another target for decarbonization. So we talk about net zero by the way, it started, the first time I heard personally about net zero was into 2007. Board meetings, they were discussing it. And then they targeted 2020. 2016, they realized that's not achievable. So they decided to shift it into 2030. Decarbonization is something new. It was not at the time when starting the energy conservation. Now, the targets are like this today. Decarbonization, the whole world should go into decarbonization by the year 2050.
Yes.
2050. Is it achievable? Now you start seeing 2060 coming on the road. God knows if it will be implemented by the core for Standard 90.1 is energy conservation.
Yes.
But that's not the building. The building is energy conservation first. We have also indoor air quality, and also we have comfort. So these three standards, ASHRAE standards, will take your building into high performance, sustainable building. And you talk about it green or whatever. So the Standard 90.1 aims at, as you have described it before, you talk about descriptive, you talk about performance. The latest version of the 90.1 today can let you know your building, how better is it than the Standard 90.1. So Standard 90.1 will give you the compliance requirements in regard to envelope, HVAC equipment, plug loads, lighting, all what they consume, equipment, all what you think that it consumes energy within the building, they have a dedicated chapter in the Standard 90.1. Today, 90.1 2022 will let you know, I mean, it is, by the way, standard is optional. You would like to become in compliance, or you may say, I don't want to deal with. Certain states in the US, now they are about 12, they took the Standard 90.1 as such and made it a law, a code. Any building within that particular state, 12 states, you have to have the Standard 90.1 being implemented as a code and not as a luxury if you want to be in compliance or not. Other countries, they would like to be in compliance. It's not mandatory, it's something voluntary. The idea is how the authority in a certain place would like to ensure that people are following the content of the Standard 90.1 without having it as a regulating scheme at this stage, but later on, I think the world all will move into looking at it as a code, as a law. And it controls all the aspects of energy consumption within a building. You start with the envelope. how important is the envelope. They dictate for you what sort of insulation you have to put on the outer, depending upon your climate zone. By the way, today is different than earlier days. Now we have climate zones. Each place, each country, each region has its own climate zone. And the standard, when specifying certain components, it's associated with the climate zone. So the building envelope in California is totally different than the building envelope in Europe. So each place has a climate zone. The standard 90.1 being segregated or divided into places based on the climate zone. In regard to the envelope, very important. You talk about the glazing, you talk about how the shadings on the glass itself. We can't see shading elements here. You talked about it, but it is maybe on the other side. Of course, here you don't need it. Here you don't need it. Okay. The shading is, to me, is the optimum instruments for saving energy. You pay only once, and you know it's something relatively less expensive, nice shapes, but the amount of heat gain load estimate, how it's going to crash, incredible. So you pay, let's say, 500, you gain 10,000. And I don't think why people don't go into the shading. This is shading from the outside. That's a shade, a cantilever. The sun will hit and will create a shading. It's one of 11. If it's unshaded, the heat transfer is 11 times. If it's shaded, it will be 1. So imagine you put a shade and how much you're going to save on the unshaded and hence on the shading and unshaded and hence save. So pay something little, get the benefit of. That is in the envelope. Glazing, triple glazing. Triple glazing, again, you don't want to spend money just for the sake of saying that I have triple glazing. Depending upon the size of the glass, if it's really beneficial to go into the 3 layers glass, irrelevant what we do in between, is it worth it? Depends upon the area of the glass itself. So glass, the framing of the glass, the shadings, the thermal bridges. I like the section of the insulation of the blockwork with the floor being reaching a certain point to eliminate the impact of the thermal bridge. So envelope, first thing, roof with the insulation as well. Different types of insulation depending upon the climate zone. You come up with a complete envelope. If it's raised or on the floor, also you have heat loss in winter, or you don't care about it, but you have, it's a good thing to put buildings on the floor for cooling purposes. So the envelope is the main item. Second, we go into the HVAC equipment. Any type of HVAC equipment, without taking you preference to one make or another, generally speaking,